What's going on? I want to thank you for coming by to Vape with a Viking. So today I got some Steam Crave right there, some Steam Crave action for you. We have the new Titan PWM Mod, the version 1.5. All right, so gonna go, of course, do the usual. It's gonna be a shorter review because it's just basically an update, of course, of the original Titan mod. You know, Para Series mod. There are some differences that they did do with it. So yeah, we're definitely gonna jump into that. But before we do, of course, we have the Ragnar on top of that, and I am running some of that Dark Star Banana Man. If I can give you the right, there we go, label up front for you. Of course, one of the great flavors from Dark Star I just like. It's an all-day vape. Nice little creamy banana milkshake. Running some, I think they were AJ Holland's coils, some aliens. Running 3.7 volts. Kind of been liking that on regulated. 0.13. So the mod itself doing pretty decent, but we're going to get into the details of what is different between the original and now this. Kind of show you how to put in batteries, all that kind of good stuff. And talk about it, tell you where you can find it. But before we get to any of all that, get into Viking's Advocacy Minute. Again, one of those things that haven't been getting a ton of reviews out lately. So even when it comes to advocacy, there's just kind of people want to say more important things going on. So we're not going to spend a lot of time on that as usual. Like I tell you on every TRV show with Spring, Friday, 7:30 Central on her channel, go to Twitter. Twitter, you can get up-to-minute information. You know, join CASA, Not Blowing Smoke, all those types of organizations. You're going to get up-to-the-minute almost information and any advocacy news, especially if it's going to affect your area. But with Twitter, definitely go in there and support Grim Green, you know, Nick, you got Matt from Suck My Mod or SMM, Bogan, Phil, Dimitri, all those guys are fighting every single day for our rights to vape. So they're not just fighting because of them, they're also fighting for all of us. So definitely for my advocacy for probably a while, definitely go help them out. And of course, we vape, we vote, go onto legislation sites, talk to your local representatives and tell them how it has saved your life. So enough of that, let's go ahead and, yeah, I'm ready. Are you ready? Yeah, we're ready. Let's drop the hammer on the Titan 1.5. All right, so what I got for you today is a updated, upgraded, however you want to call it, or new Titan PWM mod. It is the 1.5 from Steam Crave. First thing you're going to notice on the outside of the box, different button, different top, and some notches. We'll get into that in just a sec. So like usual on the side, you're going to have your color configuration, black, silver, gunmetal. Little Steam Crave website there. Their item number, or Steam Crave, and not a whole lot on the back here. Just your authenticity code and your UPC, keep out of reach of children and minors, and then their EC number. Not too much in there, but in the box you're going to get, of course, your Steam Crave sticker, as usual. And then your owner's manual here. So with that, it's going to say, you know, like usual, thank you for choosing a QR code. So a little introduction there. You know, it'll tell you that and so it is a Para series. All right, then on the inside, I give you some specs right here, ramp up time, the different protections it does have, because even though it is a PMW Para series, it is still chip driven, so you're going to have some protections. 510, overtime, stuff like that. And of course, show you here, battery orientation, which it doesn't show real well here. We'll show you on the device. Your power on and off, you're adjusting your voltage, how to lock the voltage. And then they even give some other stuff in here. One thing I thought was kind of weird was the product is intended for use with vapors with the experience of rebuildable vaporizers of 3 years or more. Okay. I don't know how much I agree with that because I, haven't even hit my 3-year mark, but I definitely would say I'm safe with series mods, or even Para series. And then, of course, there's a couple warnings on the back, and then that's it on it, and we're going to get to the mod. Now, what I'm going to show off here to begin with is, of course, I have the original. This is the original PMW mod. If you're not too familiar with it, here's what it looks like. One thing I've had people ask if they're having a lot of issues with theirs from back in the past, this number right here is what you need to look at. There was a series of runs that if it did not begin with like the letter, they had some issues. So this of course is an updated version of the original, so it does not suffer from those issues. But now we take a look at the new one. kind of some differences here. So we're going to look at overall size-wise, it is the same size. Your 510 is still a floating 510 or adjustable 510. They do have an extra screw in here, but definitely am not going to take that apart to figure out why there's an extra screw in there. There's just an extra screw in there, guys. So, and the button is definitely a little bit different. I didn't have any issues with this one. I could see where I'm sliding around a little bit here on camera and not paying attention, but when I was using it, I didn't really notice it. With this one, it's going to be much easier to be able to rotate. So if you have really long nails, you're going to be able to catch this and go around, or even this knurling here. If you have short nails, it's going to be a lot easier to move up and down or back and forth, depending on what do you want to call it. So a little bit easier on adjustment. With that being said, though, this one you're going to have to, if you want to keep your voltage locked, you're going to have to lock this a lot more often than I did with this guy. And of course, you got the little Steam Crave box in the button right there. Then you got the logo instead of off to the side in the front, like this one was. It's a little bit smaller, and it's there by the button. Of course, on the bottom, you're going to have the same kind of door. And then you will have Titan version 1.5. Your screen, the screen is relatively exactly the same in color, contrast, size, all that good stuff. Of course, you have all your venting stuff through here. And then there's your number on this one. And then one of the several things that are different is you do have these kind of cutouts right here. Now, one of the things I thought was kind of cool, I know it wasn't just me, but when Steam Crave had not released this yet, kind of a little fun fact, they were talking about doing these cutouts on like the left side or just the right side, or what people thought. I know I was one of at least a couple people that said, hey, why don't you do them on both sides so it doesn't matter if you're left or right-handed, that would work. So thought they did a pretty decent job on that. The only problem is with that is when you're sitting here looking at this and using it, so a right-hander is going to be right here, usually for a thumb fire or even a finger fire. Finger fire. It's just, it doesn't hit all of the areas on a right hand, but it is definitely, in my opinion, still right hand more comfortable than left hand. When I put the grooves here, I have nothing. I don't have the screen. I mean, I can come back here and hit the button. It's a little kind of a far reach. And then if I get to the point that I can get the screen in play, I can finger fire. But now I don't have any really the grooves except for in the meat of my hand. So it's still, in my opinion, more of a right-handed friendly when it comes to this. At least with this design, it doesn't matter if you're left or right-handed. It's a box. You can use that however you want to. This almost, in my opinion, forces it to be more right-hand comfortable. So wish they would have thought of that instead of just putting the cutouts on the opposite side of the button. So that'd be kind of one of those things for me. But to show you the screen, like I said, super easy. I don't have an atomizer. You can fit easily up to like a Titan 41 millimeter, Asgard 30, Ragnar 36, anything on top there. We'll take a look at a couple sizes so you can see what's on there. But before we do, we'll go onto the screen. And of course, here you're going to have your voltage. That's going to be the equivalent wattage depending on your build. And of course, your battery status right there. And then easily, all you have to do is rotate. And it'll do 0.1 increments all the way to 8.4 volts. And then let's say you go down to let's say a 3.7. I'm kind of finding it unregulated. I like running voltage 3.7 on a regular build. But if you want to, of course, no atomizer on there, it's going to tell you to check it. But 1, 2, 3 volts are locked. So now, if you try to move it, it's just going to keep giving you volts locked. And then, of course, 5 on or 5 off. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Goodbye. 2, 3, 4, 5. Then, of course, you get your Steam Crave startup logo, and then it goes right back to where it is. All right, so we'll try a couple different atomizers on just so you can take a look at it. Not that we're necessarily going to use it on these. But all right, there is a 30 millimeter Asgard. And here we're going to have the 35 millimeter Ragnar, which is basically my everyday go-to RTA. And stop using that guy. So if you see 35 is pretty close to covering up all that silver. But Still not the biggest yet it can hold. So now we're talking some size. This is your 40 millimeter Titan RDTA or RT, however you want to call that guy. So this guy right here, this is what it, in my opinion, and of course what Steam Crave says even on their packaging, this is what it's intended for. It is intended for this big old juice work truck of juice here. So if you see, it is literally right up to the edge. So it is, this is the max you're going to get, is, which I said, this is 40. If you technically on a caliper, it's closer to almost 41. So if you have any other 40 to 41 millimeter tanks on there, it'll definitely fit, or RDAs, whatever you have will definitely fit on there, but that will be your max size with no overhang. And of course, this, with this, it's a pretty hefty carry. It is 18650. There's 4 of them. So I do have the batteries in there, of course, and it's kind of hefty. If you put some juice in here, it's definitely something that you probably be the only thing you carry around, but you probably carried around all day long. Luckily, since this is the aluminum, maybe even a zinc alloy, it's lighter, but that filled up with juice is definitely going to be a workout for your hand every day. So let's take a look at the batteries real quick. And all right, so one of the last things we're going to go over is, of course, the battery orientation and the door. The door, of course, you have a ton of venting through here. Nice deep grooved little lock there. Now, without batteries, it's actually still not bad. It's, you kind of open it and then you just barely get a flick and it comes right out. With batteries, of course, it's going to kind of spring it out. Now, if you'll see, there's a little bit of rattle, but the way you're usually going to be holding this, there's not going to be really any issues with, in my opinion, the rattling when you're using it. Now, if you want to, you can take, and actually I picked this up from the Hammer of Gods as well. If you want to take out some of that battery rattle, you can actually just throw something in there non-conductive, like a bit of cotton or something like that. And if you put it in there, it spaces them. So now they won't move or rattle. So kind of a little trick there. All right, so now down in there, you can easily see, because I actually have lighting set up correctly for once. Hey, you're welcome, YouTube. You have where your battery orientation is. So you, of course, have your series, your 2 positive or your 2 negative. Put them together, you have para series. Now, I had seen on their website, you can run this in just parallel as well, which is, you know, your 1 positive, 1 negative. I had that working the other day, just playing around with it when it first came in. I haven't got it to power up since, so not quite sure how that was supposed to work. But this will tell you here, this is about where those labels are. So there's literally this much room. It's a little top heavy because, you know, your chip, screen, switch, all that stuff, connectors is all taking up about that much space. So unfortunately, it'd be nice if they ended up doing a 21700 model, but I know this is a pretty good size one. If they went up to a 21700, you're probably talking good size difference there. So yeah, so that's kind of that look at this. Let's throw some batteries back in. I'll clean them up first, put them in there, come back up top, vape on it, and I will tell you how much and where to get a hold of the new Titan PMW version 1.5. All right. So back up with the Titan 1.5. First and foremost, going to get at least the pricing out of the way, just because it's kind of hard to find this guy. I don't know why. So I don't know why, but I didn't see with the real quick look of any US site selling it. Of course, there's, you know, the regular overseas site selling it. They're selling it for about $74 to $80 for it. So, which for a para series, that's really not that bad. So now if it was a horrible mod, I'd be like, save up for something a little bit better. But definitely for that price point, I know you can go on to Steam Crave's website, their shop, but they just have like this bundle available. It's the Titan 1.5 with the Titan RTA on there. And that one was running, I think, right at like 119 or whatever, which the tank is a good combo. For me, I'd much rather it'd be cool if they had a combo of the Ragnar and then the Titan 1.5, because the Ragnar has been killing it since release date for me. It's just an amazing, amazing tank. So, pros and cons, and if you watch the dive down, I don't know. I just wasn't thinking it works, but I'm going to pop this up real quick. So, it is a para series, but you can run it in either well, not either. You can run it as para series, or like I was saying, you can run it in parallel. And I got it to work like one of the first days I had it. I was just playing with the batteries, and I happened to see on their site, or actually through their Facebook group, that you can also run in parallel. So that kind of cut down on some weight. And I was putting the batteries in, then worked just fine. And then when I was in dive down, tried it, it didn't work. Totally my user fault right there. So might be a little distorted, but I tried to do a little screenshot for you. So it shows you there with the batteries out, but then it shows you can do the two 18650s to run just parallel mode, or run the 4 2 up 2 down for your para series. So, and what that essentially will do is, like I have it now in it, you can see that I actually hit 3.6, but you can see that I am running it in 3.7 volts. And there's the ohms build right there. But you see one of the batteries is basically blacked out. And that shows that I'm running it in, just the parallel mode. And it does help with the weight. Now, so pros on all this, I do like the button. And it's a pro and a con. I like how it's bigger and it's easier to adjust. The con to that is if you are using this, like just now when I was like, I'm running 3.7. No, I changed it just by turning it by accident. I turned it to 3.6 volts. So it'll be a con if you don't want to constantly sit there and do the 3 shots, 3 presses to make it lock its volts. If that doesn't matter to you, it'd still be a pro, because that little button, there was a lot of people that did not like adjusting with this little guy. I didn't find it a problem. So button, pro, con. Of course, the feel overall, again, is another pro/con, because me being left-handed, I can never get the cutouts to be in a very good spot. This isn't bad, because at least your thumb can hold on to a cutout very securely. Right-handed, you'll probably love it even more. But again, if you're using something this size anyway, ergonomics probably aren't your deal. So again, pro and con. So the biggest, I would say, pros, or my only solid pros, is they did improve the contact door, and of course they improved the chipset. It's definitely more stable. Little, as far as I know, or lesser to zero issues that you had with the version 1, which I didn't have a problem with that, but I did get a later model. That's probably on pros. Just the upgraded chip is probably one of my big things with it. I don't tend to use the Titan mod very often, just because the Ragnar does fit on some of my other devices, like the Odin DNA, the Boxer, stuff like that, and they're a little bit more ergonomical. But if you are a big Titan RTA fan, that's definitely what you're going to want, because it's a big tank. And I do use that every once in a while, and it's always on, of course, a Titan mod. So yeah, but there are different atomizers that are bigger size than, of course, like the Ragnar is like 35. So if you are a lover of bigger than 35 millimeter devices, definitely a good device for you. Like I said, a couple little, I'd say, pro and cons. No solid cons that I could see whatsoever for me. And one good solid pro, and then the rest are very, very subjective, or something you're going to have to, you can either learn to love or possibly learn to hate. So, but yeah, definitely if you're looking for something for, your Titan RTA or bigger devices, and you don't have the original, or if you didn't have a good luck with the original, I would definitely suggest the 1.5. Little upgrades here and there, but definitely make it more of a solid mod, in my opinion. But that is all I got today. The Titan PWM Mod version 1.5. Just want to thank each and every one of you yet again for coming to Vape with a Viking. And I'll check you later.